Free. Welcome. You are in in the show now. Can you hear us fine? Oh, he said he can't hear us.
Okay. Yeah, it's the classic.
Yeah, that's the very common one.
All right, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
All right,
Perfect. Yes.
it was my problem.
That's all right.
Okay. So do you wanna do the presentation, Dave, for welcome?
Yeah, so we start now, just 7, so perfect. If you're in another time zone, yeah, we're gonna start just right now. So welcome everybody. Here we have Gabriel and I. We have a guest, Antonio. Our mission here with the podcast or streaming is to talk about Reason, OCaml, and ReScript, and any Hindley killer type systems, and make silly questions, and of course learn a little bit from the people who is running the community and doing like great stuff in public. So today, I think we are pretty excited to have Antonio. So for the ones, Antonio, that don't know you, who are you and why you are from the European Brazil?
All right. Well, I don't think I can answer that. That's just time and a place question. Let's see. Who am I? I'm just some random open source developer that exists on the internet. I do mostly OCaml these days. I guess that's why I'm on the show. You invited me here because I help maintain the Reason project, the Reason parser and syntax. And yeah, I do have a bunch of other projects. I'm mostly interested in networking stacks. I did HTTP2 in OCaml, and if time permits, I will also do Quick and HTTP3. I guess you could say I'm good at following instructions. So right. I read RFCs and I implement them.
So you are the only person who reads the spec. That's you, right?
Well, I don't want to claim I'm the only one, but I'm definitely one of them.
Right. So aside from English, what other language do you speak?
Let's see. Well, so I'm originally from Portugal. Just the country next to where you're sitting. And
where exactly from? Like
I'm from just the outskirts of Lisbon. So from a tiny town called Almada.
Right.
And so I'm from Portugal, and I'm living in the United States now. So I speak Portuguese, I do speak English, and I speak a little bit of French.
Nice. So when you code, do you actually like think in Portuguese? And do you I don't know, have any like kind of bilingual thinking, or?
Let's see. That's a funny question. I think I mostly think in English when I'm coding. Okay. But I definitely like stick in some Portuguese swear words when I need logging statements.
Right. So when you discuss, or when you're mad in your real life, you as well like discuss in English and complain in English, or that's Portuguese?
When what? Sorry.
When you discuss, or when you scream, or when you rage, if you.
When I rage. I think it depends who I'm with. If I'm alone, it's definitely in Portuguese. I'll rage in Portuguese. Otherwise, I think in terms of logic, when I'm programming and thinking about the control flow of the program, I think I tend to think in English, but I definitely write some Portuguese swear words in the code.
Right. That's cool. Because you went into university in Portugal.
That's right. Yeah. I did do my undergraduate in Portugal, right. And then I studied in Germany for 2 years before coming here.
Nice. So how and why you went to the US?
How did I end up here? So at the time, I was pretty involved in, I guess, another open source community. I was pretty much involved in the Clojure community. I know all the Brazilian people in the chat know about Clojure because I think the biggest bank in Brazil uses Clojure for their software.
Okay.
So they'll know it from there. I was pretty much invested in that whole community, and I was actively contributing to a project at a time that there were two major contributors. There was me, and there was the author of the project. And the company that I work for now, called Ladder, like my boss was starting to use that niche technology, that niche front end framework to write their website. And I guess he needed consulting at the time. There were only 2 people available in the world, and I was the one that was not employed. So we mutually agreed to import me over here and have me work for in my current job.
Right. That's sick. That's sick. Yeah. So you come from the Clojure script, and you made I hear that you made a lot of good things over there, and yeah, I'm impressed. So my question would be, where Clojure seems to kind of have a value where batch programming, it's kind of bad, and his kind of idea is to you all the time you are gonna have some type of real-time shell. And in OCaml we do have UTOP, but they are clearly different. Obviously, one is just one shell, the other one is just real-time. What are the main differences for the ones who never took a chance to understand Clojure? Or
I get your question. Yeah, so you're asking about the Clojure REPL. So I guess REPL stands for read, eval, print, loop, meaning in Clojure and in other Lisps that have REPLs, you're able to, I guess everything is sort of, I don't want to say mutable, but let's say you can manipulate the state of the program or of your program from this interactive shell, right? The REPL at any time, and so let's see. Okay, I'm going to struggle to answer this question, which probably means I don't fully understand it, but let me try. So I guess in OCaml's shell, like UTOP or the OCaml top level, your code is compiled before it's executed. You can't really go back and you can obviously shadow things that you've written before, but you can't necessarily connect to your I guess this is the important part. You can't really connect your editor to your shell, and then while you're writing your program, you're sending those, in Clojure call them forms, right? You send them to the REPL, and they change the current state of the program instead of starting a new program, right? So I'd say that's most the biggest difference between the shell and the REPL is while you're let's pick an example for clarity. So if you're writing a web server in Clojure, you might have a random endpoint that just returns hello world or something, and you can change that to return hello Dave, and just send that to the REPL. And then your web server, right, your live program that never stopped, is now returning a different thing. Whereas in OCaml, it's pretty much impossible to do that.
Right, you need to destroy. Yeah,
exactly, because you need to destroy the entire program, and it's the state goes with it, right? And so then what happens? You need to spin up a new program, and then the new program will have the new behavior. So I'd say that's the biggest difference, and probably what folks miss the most when they switch from languages like that.
Yeah, exactly. So do you miss kind of this runtime shell? Because UTOP, I don't know if you use a lot UTOP, just to check. I at least just use it to check types mostly, but I rarely like load files or play around rather than just 5 minutes.
Yeah. I guess probably in the beginning I did miss it, but I think that was before I started using OCaml as a whole new paradigm. And so the way I think about it now is I mostly do type-directed or type-driven development. And so as long as I have Merlin or the whatever tool you use to give you type hints in your program, I can get around and figure out my way around the code.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think I have followed the same path. 1 second. I think your quality of streaming is very low, Antonio. I don't know if you have are you downloading something, or do you have any internet problem?
Well, let me say that internet in the US is not very good.
Oh.
But I can. I was having the Twitch chat open just so I could check what people were saying. I closed that now. Maybe it was loading the player and the video. So tell me if it's a little better now.
Oh, actually, you can see the chat here in the link I shared with you. The comments button. It will show the live chat.
Oh,
for you.
Incredible! All right. Tell me if it's a little better now.
Yeah. Let's see if it should buffer better now.
Yeah, I think it's a little better for sure. I think we can see your face. Before it was like a bunch of pixels.
Yeah, but I can hear you a bit choppy, but it's still understandable.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's fine. It's fine. So after closure, why did you get involved in Reason? I think many people wonder why you left closure. So when is the moment where you decide, Reason is kind of where I should spend more time?
Okay, I mean, for the record, I didn't necessarily leave Closure. I still do Closure every day at my day job. I just stopped contributing to the open source scene of it. Mm-hmm. I don't know when it was. I think at the time it was around 2016 or something that Jordan launched Reason, and I saw it on the first spot on Hacker News, and I don't know, something compelled me to it. Something attracted me there, and but I didn't try it right away. I was like, okay, I mean, this looks familiar, right? But I still don't know what this is, and trying that at the time was really hard. The tool chain was pretty horrible. You had to download a binary from somewhere that took a long time to download and run. And then they kept improving things. I think I went back to it again maybe a year later. And I think I started by trying out BuckleScript at a time. But I was always interested in how, well, right, I have this thing that compiles to JavaScript, but there are many JavaScript flavors out there. How do I actually produce a native binary? Because that was what I was interested in. So at the time, there was this project called BSD Native by Benjamin Sanssouci, and that was sort of like a, not really a fork, but like an adaptation of the BuckleScript build system to produce native binaries, and I started from there. It was pretty limited because it didn't allow you to use libraries from OCaml or anything like that. So I soon ventured into the actual supported native tool chain. But I'd say I started there. That's how I found out about Reason, and once I did, and everything just made sense to me. The way maybe I like to describe it is that I guess OCaml and the way I've figured out my workflow matches the way my brain thinks about programming.
Right.
And so I just stayed ever since.
Right, that makes sense. So did you first, when you read Reason in front of Hacker News, did you thought, I need a clear explanation on which tool is, or I need a 10 minutes explanation? Because I think the 10 minutes explanation of what's BuckleScript, what's Reason, what's OCaml has been happening all the time. Even now that we have a ReScript and seems like the explanation is way more simpler, we still need to explain all the tools. When did you have this kind of switch and understand?
Let's see. Yeah. I mean, thinking back, I feel like an explanation would have been great. I don't think there was even BuckleScript at the time, or if there was, it wasn't tightly integrated. I don't know. I don't remember the history there, but it wasn't tightly integrated with what Jordan was publishing. There was this thing called Reason-CLI. That's I think how he was distributing pre-built binaries from npm. You actually needed to download a huge tarball that included an OCaml installation. It was pretty daunting to get started. And then I think at some time, if I don't know if people remember, there was this thing called what was it called? Rebuild was one of the things. It was like OCaml build for Reason. And then there were some experiments trying to use the Jenga build system. Jenga is like an internal chain street build system, and then some experiments to write a build system for Reason using that. So it was pretty early on. I think the only showcase back then for OCaml for Reason rather was I think Jordan's library, the Flexbox implementation he did, and also. What was it? Oh yeah, Ben and Avery made that gaming, not gaming engine, but the re-implementation of the name escapes me now. The re-implementation of this programming language directed for graphics.
Reprocessing.
That's right. Yeah. So they did reprocessing, and so that was a pretty huge showcase, and actually. I think that got a lot of people interested in Reason.
Right.
Yeah, as to to answer your actual question, I did want an explanation at a time, and I can't really tell when I started figuring things out for my own, but I do understand that it's super hard to understand even today.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how I start. That's how you start, but now you forked ReScript. And you made a post last year, I think. So
I think it might have been this year. 2020 and 2021 have been 5 years together. So,
right. That's
that's correct.
Yeah, you forked it last decade. So what happened meanwhile? How did you end up deciding? ReScript is not what I want this thing to go. I will be a champion and fork it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start by what I consider is the beginning. The beginning of ReScript, at least. So I think we're probably close to a year now, or even a year past.
Yeah.
When ReScript came out as its own language. I think there was a post that stirred the pot a little bit last year. People were super confused about where's this going? I was totally blindsided. I didn't expect this. I was one of those people as well. I knew something was going on behind the scenes, but I didn't know what. And so when the ReScript team decided to announce their project as and their new direction, I felt like something was lacking from the way that I used it myself, right? And as I said before, my interest in these this tool chain is mostly about coming from the native side, and then if I need to write some JavaScript, I will have something that adapts to the OCaml code that I already have.
Right.
Right. If that perspective makes sense. And so, you could almost say like they sever the cord, right? For those use cases, right? At least those use cases were explicitly not encouraged, and I don't know the state of that today, but probably not supported, right? And so,
yeah, totally.
I spent a little bit of time to think on like what do I want this to become, or like how do I want to, like how do we go from here, right? There were a few, and I had a little bit of experience with the I guess the let's call it the ReScript code base. What was BuckleScript before? Because I was already maintaining a fork to add some changes that were not present, right? So I needed I needed what do you call them? Monorepo, I think is what people call them, like monorepo support. So I needed that at the time. It wasn't implemented, so I did it on my own. And so I was maintaining a couple of those things in like a private project. And so I had a little bit of that experience, but I was still figuring out like where do I want to go. And when I think one day I was thinking about like how let's see, two things. One is Dune was becoming and has become effectively like the de facto build system for OCaml. Everyone in the community tries to use Dune. There are some stragglers still, but mostly everyone is using Dune. And for the projects that don't build with Dune, there are forks that do. That was point one. And then point two was, at the time, OCaml 4.12 had just come out. We're nearing the release of 4.13, or they are. I don't want to claim that I'm involved in. I don't want to take credit for all the amazing work that other folks do. In any case, like 4.12 was coming out or had come out, and ReScript was stuck 6 versions behind, which I understand is not a priority for them to upgrade because they can't, they don't need to be up to date with the latest OCaml to produce high quality JavaScript, right? But that was not aligned with my goals, and so kind of like those two motivations prompted me to. It's kind of one of those things, and Eduardo is in the chat, and he knows how like these things go, and he actually went through that experience with me because we were talking along the way. But I was almost like, hey, how hard can this be, right? And then, a lot of hours later, it wasn't, it wasn't as hard as I expected, but it also wasn't as easy as maybe I've made it out to be in the past.
Right. Totally.
Yeah, and a lot of hours
from the outside felt extremely fast. Like as a user or as a person talking about the fork, I could say like in 2 weeks, you solved 2 of the pain points from BuckleScript. So yeah, from the outside was extremely fast.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of one of those things where the thinking takes longer than the actual totally. Banging out the code. It was sort of like 3 to 6 months in the making, but it was all in here. And then like at one time, like I had the right design, and I thought, oh hey, let me try this way, and then it actually worked.
Right. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. One of the explanations or one of the reasonings behind ReScript team to move away from Reason, or at least to not support like new updates for the syntax, was that the Reason parser, it's hard to maintain, too complex, too big, etc. As you maintainer of the Reason parser, why is that?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, let me agree with what you said. It is that those claims are true. And then. So I guess what you said are facts, and then we can all interpret facts differently and make decisions and trade-offs based on what we want our projects to be. Like my personal feeling is, I don't feel like it's the size or the bloat of the parser that is going to prevent me from adopting it in my own projects. But other folks with different priorities make different decisions. That's number one. And then, given that what you said is true, let me explain why. So the reason parser is adapted from a white quark project that I believe it was supporting Unicode in OCaml. So like white quark, who is a major contributor to the OCaml ecosystem, they made a project that made OCaml support Unicode. Eduardo is confirming that, but in the chat, but I don't necessarily know whether it was. I believe it was OCaml's source code supporting Unicode, so like variables with like Chinese characters or stuff like that. And so that was already a fork of the OCaml parser, and then Jordan forked that and changed it for it to become Reason. And then over the years, it just has accumulated lots of bloat, right? The language has evolved, the syntax has evolved. Parser generators are super, let's say, familiar or not familiar, but like they're super easy to use, but they don't necessarily produce like the best in class output of generated code. So I believe a lot of it comes from that. And then, for folks that are unfamiliar with, in this case, Menhir, the parser generator, it's just very unfamiliar to write on to work on a code base like that.
Right. Right. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I saw the Menhir file of the Reason parser. That's scary. That's definitely scary.
It is a little bit because I think Reason syntax or Reason's grammar is a little bit more ambiguous than OCaml's grammar at some places, and so that required a few hacks,
right?
Especially with like the JSX implementation.
Oh, I didn't know that. Cool. Yeah, because I remember that I haven't seen active movement on the Reason parser in a while, but there's some rumors of a V4 that Jordan is working on. Do you know anything about that?
Well, I can't give you any updates on that because I don't know myself. I think I know what you know. I know that Jordan was inspired by some of the ReScript syntax changes. He wanted to make them into Reason as well. But in the meantime, I feel like he's just very busy starting his own company, and so he's focused on other projects. Eduardo and I did work on the Reasons project the other day. I think it was on Sunday when because as I said before, OCaml 4.13 is coming, and we need to add support for that. A bunch of things change in the ecosystem, and a lot of they're not really major changes, but they're like very time consuming. And so they need to be made in the Reason parser for it to work with 4.13.
All right. So that's the question that I'm most like excited to do is like what's happening with Melange? Like what's the direction? Why there's no logo? Why we have some documentation that it's not on the website? When users are gonna be happy? Can you like deeply explain?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Those are a lot of questions. Let me answer the easy ones first. Why don't we have a logo? Because you didn't design one. Why? Sure. When will users be happy? Never. Users will never be happy.
Right.
And then and then let's go to the hard question, which is about Melange and the direction of the project. So Melange from the beginning started with a an attempt to make bring all the good features that ReScript had, all the nice JavaScript output, all the integration with the NPM ecosystem and all those amazing libraries that exist out there and that you can find easily through the FFI. To folks that are more familiar with OCaml and the native toolchain, people that want to keep using Dune to build their projects, and also have their their front end be built with the toolchain that they're used to. The plan for that is to, to make that the blessed workflow, keep that working, and then and then I don't know, just go from there. So one of the things that I'm pretty excited to do in the short term is to do a deeper integration between Melange and Dune. Right now, the way it works is Melange will generate Dune files with rules on how to build your project. So it basically calls BSC, which previously stands for, I think, Buckle Script Compiler, right? And so right now that's the way we do it. We're working on design to have it be more integrated with Dune, so that you can define your a way to compile your projects using Dune files, just like you do in the if you're compiling to a native binary.
Right. So you would map library, executable, and all of these stanzas. I think you're calling stanzas in.
Right, yeah, I don't know if that's how they're going to look, but that's definitely one option, right? So we just move away from the VS config file and just. That's a complicated question too, because once you move away from VS config, or at least we'll have to support both, I think, for an amount of time. Because if you move away from VS config, like what's going to happen if you want to consume libraries that from the ReScript ecosystem? Because that's something that still works today, right? In Melange you can consume libraries that are built for Melange support, but you can also consume libraries for the ReScript ecosystem.
Okay.
I don't claim that that's going to keep working. Simply because as ReScript evolves farther and farther away from OCaml, and they add new features that are sort of like, I'm going to claim breaking to the type system, right? Yeah. Once the type systems are not the same anymore, it's going to be super hard to support some of these like edge case features that are incompatible between the two type systems. But it's certainly something that works today for the most part, and if it's easy to support and I have time for it, I'm going to have it keep working.
Right, totally. Yeah, that's cool. Changing a little bit the topic, but not going too far. So many tools are being written in the JavaScript TypeScript world are being rewritten in Rust. My question is more like, do you think that after OCaml goes multi-core, or even now, do you think the Reason is a great alternative? Or do you think that people would still want to write it in Rust regardless?
That's a good question. I
think both, right? I think many things can be true at the same time. So that is definitely true, right? I think Reason or OCaml, even before multi-core was and still is a great alternative to do it. It's always been there. Let's see, Flow, right? Flow, the JavaScript type checker from Facebook has been written in OCaml for all this time. In the meantime, people are also moving to Rust to write all this tooling. I just feel it's because Rust has much better marketing and much higher network effects. Not necessarily that people are necessarily going in and evaluating all the trade-offs. I feel like it's more about the ecosystem. My claim is Rust is actually a lot harder to write those things than if you'd write them in OCaml. But it's people don't choose languages because of their technical merits, right? People choose so. People choose languages because of what everyone else is doing, and the same is true for many other aspects of life. One thing that I like saying a lot is, I like making decisions and then rationalizing them later on to make myself believe that I was right.
Yeah,
and so
that's the definition of pragmatical.
So I feel like a lot of people are doing that in the Rust ecosystem. And don't get me wrong, like Rust is a pretty awesome language. I've done a little bit of Rust. I just feel like it's optimized for use cases that are more low level than for like what people are using them for.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
a very good point. I consider myself not a very hardcore OCaml, ReasonML user, so I was like more interested in using the tooling for what Rust is doing nowadays for JavaScript. That was what my expectations were.
Right.
Like, we are gonna rewrite everything in ReasonML, and then we are going to heavens. And then what I saw was everything being rewritten in Rust, and then people asking me, haha, Facebook is using Rust now for Relay. What are you gonna say now? So that was a bit of a disappointment, but I totally get the point, like network effects and the whole thing, right? Why ReasonML is not there yet for this kind of usage.
Yeah, I mean, let me make a final point. I feel like people look at everything as zero-sum games, and in this case, like many winners can exist at the same time. So, there are many communities and many languages, many tool chains, and many platforms, many runtimes, and all of them have a space. All of them can win. I actually prefer working within more niche type ecosystems. So I'm definitely in favor of that. Like I feel like Rust has a place, and it's definitely found its place. Arguably, it has found its place. But OCaml and Reason have also also have a place. And while they're up until now they've mostly been directed at academia, I feel like they're also finding its little place in the industry so far, and that's awesome to see.
Yeah.
That's a very, very, very good point.
Yeah. Cool.
There is
So,
also Shan talking about
yep.
WASM here too. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Eduardo is saying that blockchains. So
Yeah.
I mean that's something.
So yeah, why are you not working on Tesos, Antonio? Why you are not on the kind of like Ethereum blockchain
Jesus.
contracts as any other, like any person in the stream is now?
I mean, I'm only one. I'm only one. I can only work on one thing at a time.
Right.
Sean just said because he has a sense of morality.
No, I mean, I definitely feel like a lot of things in that space are super interesting. It's just not what I'm an expert in, and to be fair, not my highest excitement today. I do follow the news and I follow the markets a little bit, but I unlike a lot of people on Twitter, I cannot claim that I'm an expert, and so
right. Okay, yeah. So aside from Melange and your contribution with the Reason parser and HTTPF and HTTP2, how many projects do you actually maintain? Like projects that you follow and say, hey, yeah, here's a pull request for you.
You really want to go there?
Time on it. Yeah, probably more than you want. But since you were talking about time now,
definitely more than I want, and probably more than I can count or remember.
Right.
Let's see. I don't know. I mean, the projects that I mostly spend my time on are like the HTTP stack, right? The networking stack, and Melange and Piaf, which is my HTTP library. It started as an HTTP client. It has a server today as well, even though it's not super feature complete or even like publicized. But I'd say those are mostly the things that I care the most about today. And then when I have some free time or some things need to be done in other projects, I try to give a helping hand. But the answer is definitely more than I can count and more than I wanted.
Right.
And it's only going to grow from here.
Yeah, because we all kind of have like a love-hate relationship with easy. And Melange plays very good role.
Sorry, could you clarify who the we is there? Is that you and me, or?
Yeah, me and my parents. Yeah, so yeah, sorry, just Spain.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. So yeah, kind of like it's not a love and hate relationship. It's more like kind of like wish for more kind of thing. Kind of like ambition for something that it's not you, basically. So and yeah, and Easy keeps like evolving slowly, but in a clear direction. But you are a hardcore user of Nix.
That's right.
So yeah, what's your opinion about Easy?
Yeah, let's see. I think Easy is a really good step up from. Look, that so what I'm going to be speaking about is probably my outdated knowledge of the ecosystem, because I haven't used like this tooling in a little bit, right? So I can only speak for what made me the decisions that I made at the time, and I haven't gone back and revisited them just because I'm happy with my current workflow. But with that out of the way, I feel like Easy at the time when it came out was a really big step up from what people were using at the time, which was OCaml. And so OCaml is amazing. It's a really great community effort in the OCaml ecosystem to centralize around a single repo of packages, and then a command line interface for accessing and installing those packages, right? I feel like these two things need to be separated and talked about in two different two different points can be made about them. Mm-hmm. The OCaml repository is amazing. It's super curated. There are daily checks, there are daily builds to see that everything builds with everything else, right? So even like when you submit, like when you make a new release of a package, they will do like a reverse dependencies check, and they will build all the packages that depend on yours. And so the way that it's checked and all that infrastructure is super amazing.
Yep.
And then again, once with my outdated knowledge, the OCaml CLI never really I was never really satisfied with the workflow that I had with OCaml, and so that led me to look for other things. Easy was the first one that I found out about, because Jordan was publicizing it a lot of time. He was sponsoring a lot of the work on it. And for folks who might not know, Easy is actually influenced by, right? The design of Easy is influenced by Nix. And so once I knew about this, I went to find out, like, what is this whole Nix thing that you keep talking about? And so trying to be concise, the way OCaml installs packages is in sort of like what I call a mutable switch, right? Just the way, like, if you use Ubuntu or if you use Debian or you use Arch Linux, right? This is how mostly, or even NPM, right? For the people most familiar with that, is they will install a package in a system, right? A switch in OCaml's terms, or in yours, like in a folder, right? Basically, and so these packages can be added, they can be removed, right? So that's why they're mutable. They can change in place. So like the rug can be pulled from under you. Easy goes a step further by saying, hey, we now have sandboxing. We're going to look at all your dependencies. We're going to install them in this one place. And if you change them, we're going to take all of them again, and we're going to install them in another place, right? There are a bunch of optimizations to make that a shared folder and you only get the package set that you need. But now when you build a project and you declare a bunch of dependencies, you cannot access anything outside of that those dependencies that you declared. That makes reproducibility a lot better, right? You can now take this one project, take it to CI, take it to another machine, and build it. And for the most part, or that is the promise, things will still build the same way.
Yeah.
And then you have Nix, which I feel like is even a step further. And so in Nix, not only your, like in this case, your OCaml packages or your npm packages are versioned or by the tool. Everything is. So if you need Git, or if you need CP, right, all the bin tools, like all the bin utils, right, all the GNU tooling, right, you need to depend on them explicitly, right? If you're building a package, core utils, right? If you're building a package, and let me think. The common, I guess, the most common example for me, at least, is like if you're building the OCaml bindings to SSL, right? If you're using OPAM, again, with my outdated knowledge, if you're using OPAM, you need to install SSL in your system, right? If you're using Ubuntu, it's probably like libSSLDev or OpenSSLDev or something like that. And then you can OPAM install SSL, and then it will compile because it will find the bindings somewhere, right, in your system. With Nix, you have the possibility of saying with Easy, you can also do the same thing. You have that in your system in a predefined location. Easy might be able to find it. But then once you move computers and the other computer does not have SSL installed, your project will not build anymore. With Nix, you're expected, or I mean, if you really want anything to compile, it's your main data basically to also depend on OpenSSL, the OpenSSL that is provided by Nix, or one OpenSSL that you provide yourself. But at least, and so at least in a way that it's able to find it. So I feel like it's a more, let's say, holistic way of depending on everything that all your transitive dependency set, the transitive closure of your dependencies, and so that's why I like it.
Right. So how
that's
Nix
cool.
handles transitive dependencies in reality? So if we have, super bad to give an example now, but imagine that I'm installing your compiler library, and it does depend on CP, but I do as well like rely on CP. How the mechanism of knowing which version, or depending on which version is installed, works.
Yeah. So I mean, dependencies are defined explicitly, right? So if an example is like, again, if you have styled ppx on the Nix package set, you'd make it depend on OCaml, and so if you don't have anything of that in your system, it will generally, we can go into caching later, but without the presence of caching, it will download the OCaml compiler. It will build the distribution. It will build the OCaml compiler. It will build all the dependencies, and then at the end, it will build your project.
Right.
And so in the Nix package set, there's generally only one version of everything. If you want another version, right? If you want style ppx2 and style ppx3, you need to call them two different things. And so they're generally like style ppx. They'd be called style ppx2 and style ppx3, for example.
Right.
And then it's up to you. But then there's a whole language for configuration and specifying dependencies, in which you can basically say, for this entire set of dependencies, like replace like where you see ppx style ppx, replace it with the version 3. Right. And then if these are called overrides, and so you can override all of this stuff, and then if it still builds, then you get only one copy of your version. Right.
And as a user, you can overwrite anything, basically. So you can overwrite.
I think so.
Right. Yeah. I'm coming from the npm kind of like a lot of experience there. A lot of like, yeah, it definitely solved a few issues.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there are like huge problems on EPM and GR because of like resolving dependencies, right? And to this kind of situation where it doesn't respect, or people don't know how to don't respect Samver, and it bumps like always, like you never have the same build. Like even though you try to use the lock file, etc., always like it works on my machine, but it doesn't work on production or my coworkers. And Nix looks like something that will definitely solve this kind of problem.
So why not every wall, like everyone in the wall uses Nix?
I mean, you got to ask everyone else. I mean, I'm the one. I'm the one that uses it.
That's true. I didn't make the question properly. So why do you think the rest of people except you don't jump into Nix? Do you think the learning curve is steep? I don't know. What are the accessibility problems, or what are the maintainability problems?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a learning curve. If you want to use Nix, you need to learn another tooling. Again, I think it's about familiarity and what people are used to. People, what is familiar to them. I feel like, using Nix aside from the learning curve, right? It's something that you have to install externally, and it's not like not the package manager that comes with your operating system, unless you're using Nix OS. But if you're using Nix OS, you have to already be,
you're already in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Sold into the ecosystem. So I feel like it's just a question of familiarity. It's not a workflow that a lot of, like, that most people are used to. At least I can only speak from experience, and like it definitely took me a while to understand why, why it was built the way it was, and then again, it's also fairly new. I feel like Nix is well, I don't want to claim that I know how old Nix is. If I had to guess, it's probably about 10 years old, or maybe a little more. In the grand context of things, that's not a lot. Especially if you see Debian and being around for how long it has been, or other Linux distributions with their own package managers. Even npm is older than Nix is. So maybe we're still in the still haven't reached that inflection point where everyone is just going to adopt Nix and it will rule the world.
Right. Yeah, now it's time for the meme of like the city of everybody using Nix.
That's right. Yeah, if how the world would look like if everybody used Nix.
Right. So many people, well, not many, but I saw a few examples of people who build a company on top of tooling recently.
Okay.
In your neighborhood. What are your thoughts on that? So far, I've seen a few.
Yeah. My thoughts on that is, I hope they succeed. I don't have it out for anyone. It's hard, right? Building a company on tooling is super hard, because people don't want to pay for software. People don't want to pay for the things they use. So I feel like while tooling can be at the center of companies and their products, they will probably have to offer some kind of a cloud service or consulting or whatever their business model is. I personally, I feel like it's amazing to see VC money going into tooling, because we desperately need better tooling. So it's awesome to see that folks are, and by folks I mean VCs are
they're usually the same person. Yeah. The jokes is just like, I don't need to say anything.
No, I feel like it's definitely interesting that VC money is definitely going into tooling now, and that they understood that tooling is the backbone that makes developers productive. And so I wish those companies all the best. Truly.
Right. Yeah. So what's the hardest thing working in tooling? You contribute in the code script. You are very deep into like the network stack, but now Melange. Like what's the hardest part about tooling?
Well, I can say what my personal perspective is, but I don't think I have a lot of experience in working in tooling, actually.
Okay.
I mean, I could go into like it's a thankless job, but the open source is already that. I feel like it's just getting people to use your tooling, and how do you just getting adoption is going to be super hard. And then even if you have adoption, and I think you saw this with NPM, how do you make money, right? How do you, as a business, how, like, you got to survive, you got to keep people on the payroll. How are you going to make money by just working on some random command line interface, right? So thankfully, I think NPM had a satisfactory exit, but I think they were pretty much in trouble at some point when investors had kind of shied away from giving them money. So I've never worked on tooling that was meant to be sold, and you could say I never worked on tooling that was meant to be used, but I'd say those are probably the things that I'd find super hard. Like if I had to scale, if I started programming with a hoodie in a dark room, just wanting to develop some CLI, and then suddenly I had to make money off of it. I think that's the biggest challenge right now.
Right.
It's a fair point.
Yeah. So if any of the viewers has a few pennies left with our huge salaries compared to the rest of the world, please sponsor Monteiro. That's the only way that he can.
Well, I only want you to sponsor me on GitHub sponsors if you're aligned with my vision and the direction that Melange is taking. Don't take random advice from someone in the internet. and Brazilian people know a lot about pyramid schemes.
Yeah, we even have some cities here called Egypt because of so many pyramids here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of an epidemic here right now.
Yeah. So if how many people you need to get into Melange to get like a bonus? Like how is the trick here to do the pyramid?
Oh, right. If you sponsor me and you bring 10 other folks, you'll have I don't know, you'll have some percentage guaranteed.
Some affiliate links there, so you can hit direct people.
Yeah, so I think I ran out of questions, but it was definitely cool to shot them all. So
I mean, you definitely asked a lot of them. I want to commend you for keep going for so long. Maybe at some time my answers are short enough that you had to scramble and find more questions.
Nah, that's a good one. Yeah, those are good. Just having Eduardo here, it's good as well. So
yeah, I mean, when will I work on Melange? The answer is soon, right? With TM uppercase, super scripted there.
Right.
Yeah, I'm. For context, yeah, I was on vacation for the month of July. I'm slowly coming back into things. A lot of overwhelming things to catch up at work. Definitely planning on starting to work on Melange either this weekend or next. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, don't quote me on that.
Yeah, the problem it's because you made like the GitHub feed reader, and that opens your profile. So if anyone wants to know if Antonio is working on it, just open the website and you can secretly spy him. So
I see. Well, in GitHub feed reader, you can also read about your own profiles, not only mine. So
yeah,
go stalk other people, not just me.
Right. So yeah, when are you gonna work on things, Eduardo? About Melange? Yeah.
That's a true question. Okay. Yeah. If you have any questions, send them out before we close the.
Yeah, we have like 1 hour in, and I think that's kind of like the time scheduled. So yeah, I think time to close it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, happy to answer any questions from the chat. I definitely want to thank both of you for hosting this and having me here. This was pretty awesome.
Yeah, this is
great to
pretty
get a chance of get a chance to talk about my favorite topic, which is me.
Right.
Well, it's good to know you have a good self-esteem.
Cool. No, definitely, we are happy to have you here, and anything that comes up, we'd invite you again. So maybe this was one of kind of like overall kind of like meet you, but then we might just bring you for any more specific topic. So yeah, I will DM you for sure.
Well, yeah, when Melange has a logo, can bring him in again. So
Right.
to talk about discuss about the logo.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the StreamYard here is still like super annoying.
Yeah, we can put
the Melange logo on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, happy to actually come back and do a deep dive on whatever you feel like I'm qualified to talk about, which is not a lot of things.
Just take the GitHub feed. Just for the people who takes the joke, just check out his contributions. He doesn't know what he's saying now.
Well, gotta filter the signal from the noise.
Right.
That's fantastic, guys.
So yeah, thank you for the time. Yeah. Thank you everybody for sure.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you everyone on the chat for following along. That's really awesome. Grateful that you spent you gave me an hour and a half of your day.
For sure.
This is pretty awesome. Okay, so we are wrapping it up. Watch the upcoming Dune move, so you get to see some Melange in action also. And thanks everyone for joining. The chat was pretty awesome. The jokes are my face is hurting here so much of laughing so much here. It's pretty cool. The stream will be recorded, and I'll be providing soon the link for it. See you everyone, and thanks Monteiro again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you so much.
See you guys.
See you. Okay, that was pretty cool. So let me end the broadcast. See you guys until the next show.